people's voice is suppressed, when the will of the people is ignored, housed in displeasure and unrest, but justice doesn't live within these laws.
Without culture, we will rehumanize ourselves. But why do we have to rehumanize ourselves? We have to rehumanize ourselves because the project of apartheid, the project of secularism, and the project of global capitalism, the project is to dehumanize ourselves. Everything is turned into a commodity. There is no water because it's a commodity. There is no electricity because it's a commodity. There is no road because it's a commodity. So the project of culture, the comment from Lawyer, it is very important because it rehumanizes us. This is what Dr. Cabral says, that whenever a people's culture is dehumanized, we find what Bomba was talking about, the atomization of our society.
The purpose of the National Citizen Convention is to allow citizens to have an opportunity to discuss the key questions that we need to address in order to move forward in terms of the economy, in terms of social cohesion, in terms of putting citizens at the center of governance and politics in the country.
The current narrative is toxic, it's painful, it is abusive, it is polarized. So we need to stop this. We are like a nation which is having a civil war. We need to stop this and begin to discuss, talk, dialogue, engage. But it needs leadership that has competence and capacity. And all leaders, and I'm not talking about national leaders only, I'm talking about community leaders, national leaders, business leaders, church leaders, need to start coming together and say we need to slow down this runaway train and begin to dialogue and find lasting solutions. If we don't, we will crush and cause carnage. So we need political reforms, we need economic reforms. But before we even get there, we need to heal first because we are talking out of pain and toxicity. So dialogue brings national healing and reconciliation, which leads to those reforms that people keep talking about.
The Citizens Convention has been very important for us as young women. It has been an important time to reflect on the challenges that we face as young women, but more importantly, how our challenges relate with other people's challenges, because we don't live in isolation. And it was also a time to look at how the work that we are doing relates with the work that other people are doing, and how to bring that to a common vision, a common dream, the dream that we have, the Zimbabwe that we want to see.
In our case, as the National Gallery in Bulawayo, where we have introduced what we call public art expression. This is where we take a blank canvas, then invite members of the public to come and paint their feelings, their thoughts, their emotions, and we then have conversations in that regard. So this allows those who are not so gifted in oratory to then express their feelings visually, then have individualized conversations. So that kind of approach appeals to both the young and the elderly. So in a rural perspective, again, I have seen institutions use what is called basket weaving dialogues and wood carving dialogues. Basket weaving traditionally is done by women. The approach now is to put elderly women with young women so that there is intergenerational transmission of the weaving knowledge and also deliberation on various community-level developmental issues during the weaving process. And the beauty with this approach is that it's not just dialogue that has no tangible output. When they dialogue, they are producing artifacts, and those artifacts get sold, then they generate income. That entrenches sustainability in those kinds of conversations.
Zimbabwe is saddled with a lot of problems, a lot of challenges, and the only way to truly get out of any problem as a society and a community is to get to understand how citizens interpret their problem, how they understand it, and how they think it can be that the problems can be attacked and dealt with. So it is absolutely important to bring citizens together and get them to convene around these subjects. You will remember that the MDC came out of the National People's Convention, something of this nature. And the idea that then became the MDC clearly is only possible when citizens are able to converge, discuss their problems and try to resolve them. And our country had never seen such a thing as the MDC. Mugabe and ZANU-PF had total monopoly over our political space, over our lives and everything to do with it. So you cannot overstate the importance of citizens converging to discuss how to spend their lives.
The major importance about this conference is to bring a diverse people together, to bring diverse voices together, so that if someone is struggling about questions about vendors, about women empowerment, if someone is talking about politics, about culture, about creativity, about writers, so that we understand that you cannot just be in your own little corner and think that you are the country. So these kind of platforms is to bring diverse communities together, diverse voices together. But the most important thing is to get us to think about the future that we want and the type of political action, the type of social action, the type of cultural action, the type of economic action that we can deliberately take so that we have a better country and we have a better Africa, and we can consume that idea. We can consummate it, that idea of Pan-Africanism, that Africa can grow its young and people can flourish in Africa, and we can take our place rightfully in the global state of nations. So if you look at South Africa, there are people like Julius Malema. If you come to Zimbabwe, people like Nelson Chamisa. If you go to Uganda, people like Bobi Wine. There is a younger generation of people that are questioning the meaning of independence, the meaning of Pan-Africanism, the meaning of what it is to be young, to be African, to be excluded, to be without a job, and to be dehumanized by your own government, to be dehumanized by your own state institutions.
In a nation where we have retailers and speculators making more money than producers, guess what? That economy does not have a long-term future. Then the economy implodes. There's no production, there's no exports, there's no competitiveness, and we are lost without jobs. And with that whole sense of confidence and trust gets eroded. In all honesty, the major political parties, the leaders need to get together and resolve the political impasse that we have. It's as simple as that. We can't do it. As citizens, all we can do is bellow and cry out for it. But if those two could humble themselves and get together, then I think, we've got a chance in terms of the resolution of the challenges that we are facing as a nation. A house divided cannot stand.
As a young woman, I think inclusiveness should be at the top of the agenda in every conference that is to be done. We are young people, and in most conferences we are neglected, we are left behind. So I think it's really important. Now that I'm here, I'm talking about issues that are affecting me. I'm being affected by issues to do with money. I'm at a college, I'm at university. I'm being affected by accommodation issues, I'm being affected by food issues, I'm being affected by transport, printing, assignments. So I think coming here, I'm understanding, I'm getting a know-how on the economic side, on how we can try to address these issues. And I'm also a peace and conflict student. So I'm trying to see, in a way, on how we can address peace in conflicts in our societies and to ensure that there's sustainable peace.
This is an open space where citizens from all around the circles, they come and meet to present their ideas, their aspirations, their dreams. What is it that they hope for their nation? So the importance of it is, you see, out there, people are not really free to express their feelings, their emotions, how they view the world, how they want the nation to go. But when they come here, it's a free space where I can freely express myself without fear of victimization. So I think it's really an important convention. And also, considering that where we are going with Zimbabwe, we need voices of each and everyone, irrespective of where you are coming from. Bring in your idea so that we can come up with one thing in solidarity.
Realizing that we have common problems that is affecting us as young people. So this convention is important because we have managed to have a common ground and common solutions to our problem. Of course, we are at a very elitist place, but the strategies that we have come up, if it's properly strategized, we can implement and we can achieve. Citizen Manifesto needs to go into different provinces because as much as I'm concerned, Citizen Manifesto has been happening in Harare. So it's more like it's based in Harare. Most of the activities that are happening in Harare. So when you're coming from Masvingo, there are also other parts of Masvingo. You think that Masvingo is a bit marginalized, but there are also other marginalized places in Masvingo. So if we tend to decentralize programs coming to different places down there, it makes a huge impact. It also makes the other people who feel that they are marginalized feel like they're also participating in terms of these conventions.
Especially if I can look at the issue of social cohesion, whereby we are advocating that let's go back to our grassroots, to our family. If our families are united and our communities, the villages are united, basically it helps us to have a united Zimbabwe. But as long as our families are disintegrated, we cannot have a united or a coordinated Zimbabwe for ourselves.
The motivation is really the conviction that people power is the most effective tool in ensuring that governance processes deliver on the interest of citizens. And people power is only realized if citizens have the opportunity to come together like this, if citizens have the opportunity to engage in meaningful conversations, if citizens rebuild relationships that are fragmented, if citizens establish solidarity in their communities, in their different networks, if citizens are united and if citizens can speak with one voice and if citizens can act together, that is the definition of people power for us. And with that people power mobilized, there's nothing that is impossible. All the problems that we are talking about, where only a few individuals who terrorize the whole country, all these problems can be addressed quickly if citizens knew just how powerful they can be if they came together in the way that we are discussing here. We've set the starting point of our scale as the community, and we have said that let's go back to our communities and let us start there. Particularly, let us start by rebuilding relationships in our community. Let's start by making sure that we start to meet again as communities. Know who is your neighbor. Know who lives on your street. When there is a problem that affects everyone in that community, don't run away and start to find an individual solutions. Meet as a community and find a collective solution to that problem. So our scale of action is really earmarked for the community, because we believe that whatever solutions we seek have to come from the bottom going up. So we expect to see more vibrance in our communities. We expect to see people meeting more often. We expect people to be there for each other. We expect to see a lot more collective action to address the things that we have discussed here. Our own commitment, and if I may speak as the convener of the Citizens Manifesto process, our commitment is to simply continue to create space like this, because the people are the ones with the solutions, they're the ones with the voice, they're the ones with the ideas, and all we can do is to open up the space, create the space, facilitate the coming together, and the ideas that come from here, ideas that no one can pull from their brilliant minds or anything, the ideas that then come from the people themselves. The good thing is we had participation from all 10 provinces of the country. We had participation from rural folk, we had participation from peri-urban, we had participation from the urban constituencies. So we tried as much as possible to be inclusive, and I'm sure you also saw a near 50-50 participation in terms of gender, and that doesn't happen often. Most meetings it will be like 90% men, then a few tokenistic women. So we've tried as much as possible to ensure that this is inclusive and this is participatory, and as we move forward we expect that those who've come from these different places will be bearers of the message that is coming from here, and the process deepens and goes down to different local communities, so that there is that anchorship of whatever processes are emerging at the local level.
Now